Good morning, everybody. We will be starting in a couple of minutes. We have Guneet here with us.
Hi, good morning. Okay, I see we have quite a few people. Amita, would you like to tell me what grade your child is in? Or
My kid is in 10th grade.
okay, what curriculum are they doing?
They're doing US space curriculum, US Common Core.
US Common Core, and they're planning to give the SATs by when?
By the summer, August.
August is the attempt that you're looking at. Super.
Yes.
Super. And have you looked? Have they looked at any material? Have they started practicing, or is this the first
Uh,
time you're kind of exploring this?
they have. He has been practicing through Princeton Reviews books. He
Princeton
has been
Review.
practicing on his own.
Okay, and Princeton Review is a great resource. Also, look at Khan Academy. Khan
Okay.
Academy
Okay.
are they are the official partners with College Board. You will find a lot of material on the Khan Academy website for
Okay.
SAT prep. I would recommend that you don't go through that. They also have the Blue Book app. Don't waste the tests. There are very few relevant tests.
Mm-hmm.
So my recommendation is don't do the tests right now. Maybe closer to the exam is when you should perhaps attempt them when they're done with topic wise revisions and things like that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. My team will be posting um, a link for you to fill out in case you need more information. So if you fill that out, I can have them send you the Khan Academy links, as well as if you're interested in some books or something like that, I can also refer those to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. So I think we can start now, Siddharth.
Yeah, we can start now. Guneet.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Guneet Khanna. I'm the co-founder and director of Reviser. And today we're going to be talking about the SAT, ACT, and the AP exams. I'm sorry, I have a very bad throat, so I will try and take you through the webinar myself. But if I need to stop, Siddharth, one of my colleagues, is here, and he will be able to take you through it. Now, a quick brief on how the webinar is structured. For the first 20 to 30 minutes, maybe even 40 minutes, we are going to be talking about these exams in detail. In case you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box on the right hand side of your screen. We will answer all these questions towards the end. At that time, you can also unmute yourself and ask your questions. The idea here is to understand a high school student's journey from 9th to 12th grade and how these exams fit into their academic path. So in this webinar, you will learn the main things that you as students and parents need to plan and prepare for during the college admission journey, right? And then we'll do a deep dive into the exams as well. But before we get into it, let me just quickly give you a brief about Reviser. Reviser is a high school learning support company. We work with students worldwide to help them achieve their academic goals. We work with them in two main areas. One is test prep, the exams that high schoolers need to take, like the SAT, ACT, APs, IELTS, etc. The other area that we help students with is academic tutoring, which is basic. We usually work with curriculums like Cambridge, which is IGCSE, ASNA levels, and IB. But we can help them across multiple curriculums for basic subject tutoring like maths, physics, chem, bio, and all of that, right? So we've been in this space for more than 8 years, and we work with more than 5,000 families. Currently, we have students from more than 8 countries, and we're headquartered out of Bangalore, right? Now, let's try and understand a student's journey, college admissions journey in India versus abroad. Now, why do students need to take the SAT or the ACT at all? The US school system is very similar to our state board PU system. that we have in India. They have a core curriculum that is defined by the education board, and each state can choose how they conduct this curriculum. So what happens is this results in varying levels of expertise in each subject, making it very difficult for universities to gauge, students' caliber. They don't have a standard national curriculum like we do in India. We have CBSE and ICSE, where everyone writes the same paper, same questions. So when we say 98% in CBSE math, every college knows what it really means. So the universities in the US needed to even the playing field. They collaborated with two companies, College Board, which conducts the SAT, and ACT.org, which conducts the ACT. Right? Now, the aim being that every student should know at least this much English and this much math, and how well you score on these tests would help the universities decide which courses are you eligible for, or which is the right fit, which course is the right fit for you. Right? Now, in India, because we are very the colleges have a very clear cutoff. If you get 99.9%, you get into SRCC. If you don't get it, you don't get it, right? US don't have very clear cutoffs. They have a very different yet complex system of admissions. So, so there isn't a clear cutoff, but there is a kind of range that students for a particular course got in with these kind of range of scores, or these were the things that students were doing to be able to get into a particular course in a particular university. And it varies not only from university to university, it even varies within the same university. So for example, if you're planning to do engineering in Georgia Tech, you may require a certain SAT score, but if you're doing another program within Georgia Tech, you may require a different SAT score. So it's not really university to university, it's even for different courses within the same university, right? Now, when colleges review your application, they are looking at four main areas. The first, of course, is your academics. You need to have your academics in place. If you don't have your academic grades, you could be getting 1600 and doing many extracurricular activities. It's not going to help. So your first thing that has to be in place is your grades. And again, they look at your grades across 4 years. So 9th to 12th, you will be sending in your transcripts from 9th, 10th, 11th, and the midterms of 12th, as well as your predicted scores, right? So you should prioritize your academics and your studies early on to show growth and improvement, right? The second area that they look at is your standardized test scores. Now, in India, universities have exams and test scores based on your area of study. So for example, if you're planning to study engineering, you will give the JEE exam. If you're planning to study medicine, you give NEET. For law, it's CLAT, and so on, right? Now, in the US, that's not the way. They have this one standardized test, the SAT or the ACT. You need to take only one of these exams. And it doesn't matter what subject you're planning to major in. So you could be wanting to study economics or finance or engineering, medicine. You just take this one exam, right? The other thing that they pay a lot of attention to is your profile. What do we mean by profile? What have you done in your area of study outside of school academics? So basically, they want to showcase your interest. What have you done? What have you achieved in that area? And again, it needs to be more than just basic checklist. You can't say I've gone and I've done this. So there are many ways to showcase your interest in those areas. But what they really love the best is if you have solved a problem in your community or in your area related to what you're interested in, it goes a long way. So for example, if you want to study computer science and say your complex was having an issue with say attendance of the security guards or something, and you went ahead and you created an app which solved that problem and it's being used today, that is something which to them connects the dots across. And there are many ways to do this, right? The last and the most important part of your application are your essays. Beyond test scores and grades, essays really provide a window into your personality. They've given you this unique platform where you can share your experiences, your challenges, your goals, what shapes you, and it humanizes your application and allows the admission officers to connect with you on a personal level. You should make use of this opportunity and write these compelling narratives that honestly show who you are. So that's what the universities are looking at when they're reviewing your application, right? It's very important for us to understand the timeline between 9 to 12th. How would you make all of this fit in along with academics, right? So academics, of course, is happening all across grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. Profile building, again, is a process that continues. In grade 9, what you could do is you could look at preparing for the PSAT. You have the PSAT 8, 9. To see whether you're ready, what is your readiness level currently for your future exams. This will help you familiarize yourself with the format. It will also help you identify the areas for improvement, right? In grade 10, I would say begin serious preparation for the SAT. You could write the PSAT 10 as well. Our recommendation is if you've started early enough, finish your SAT English preparation while you're still in grade 10. That will help you spread out your work. In India, it's the English that we struggle with. Maths, I know most of our kids bring in the scores. It's very aligned to what you're doing in school. But SAT English is very different from what you're doing in school, right? You could maybe even take a SAT diagnostic test and see, where you stand. You could also start with some easy AP subjects, manageable. I won't say easy, I would say manageable AP subjects, which are either generic or skill based. For example, if you're someone who really loves coding and you've already been coding for a while, maybe you could look at taking computer science A. Or you could, if you're someone who's interested in economics, you could take AP microeconomics or macroeconomics. But I would say avoid advanced subjects like AP calculus BC at this stage, right? This is about grade 10 that we're talking about. Grade 11 is intensive when it comes to standardized testing, right? The US citizens ideally should take the PSAT NMSQT to qualify for the National Merit Scholarship. This happens in the October of grade 11. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about it later. Aim to complete your SAT exams by the end of grade 11. Ideal case scenario is finish both your attempts while you're in grade 11. So use your summer vacation of grade 10 wisely. That is one area. If you really put in most of your work, you could be done with about 70 to 80% of your SAT prep, so that by the time your academics start in grade 11, you're pretty much doing mock tests. That's the ideal case scenario again. For your APs, I would say start your prep early. Plan to take, for all the APs that you plan to take in grade 11, if you're planning to send your AP scores with your college application, this test will need to be taken in the month of May. For students who are doing the Indian curriculum, it would be soon after your grade 11 exams. And for those who are doing IB and Cambridge, it's going to be around the same time as your final exams. So this year is crucial, so you need to plan well in advance. In grade 12, in case you haven't finished your SAT attempts, there are many students who take the second attempt in grade 12. Having your SAT scores ready, by the end of summer of grade 12 is great. It really helps your counselors build your college list with you. As far as AP exams are concerned, you can still take the AP exams in grade 12, but they're primarily for earning college credits rather than scores going in with your college applications. Okay, let's try and do a deep dive into the SAT exam first. The SAT exam is conducted 7 times in a year. We just had the last one in Jan. We have the next one coming up in March. Then we have May, June, August, and November, December. Right? Now, we usually advise you to take not more than 2 attempts. Very few students take a third attempt if they are wanting, there are students already at 1550, but they want to apply to a very competitive university. They might want to take a third attempt and take it to 1570 or 1590 if they can. Those are the students who would usually take a third attempt. Colleges have varying preferences when it comes to standardized test scores. Some universities might want you to submit all of your SAT test scores. There are some that will allow you to super score. What that means is if you've taken, say, 2 attempts or 3 attempts, you need to send in the best of English and the best of math out of all your attempts. There are some universities that might want you to submit your best score, but in a single exam, right? So it varies from university to university. The policies are different for each university. Now, there are some universities which are test optional. That means you can choose to submit your test score if you feel it strengthens your application, but you're not required to do so, right? Test optional policies really came into play during the pandemic when tests could not be conducted every day, everywhere. And, at that point of time, the SAT was a pen and paper test, right? You have test blind universities where standardized test scores are not considered. So this basically means that the test scores will not influence the decision-making process for admission. Universities like the UCs are test blind, right? And there are some universities that you mandate that you take either the SAT or the SAT. They will not accept your application without a test scores. And these are the more selective universities, right? Universities like MIT, Yale, Georgia Tech, Dartmouth, Brown, Harvard. These are the universities that have chosen to become test mandatory, right? So the decision to take these exams depends on the policies of the universities which you're applying to. So if you've already got a final college list ready and none of them require an SAT score, you don't need to take the exam, right? But if you don't have a final list, it might be a good idea to go ahead and take the SAT, because if you try and take it last minute, you are probably not going to hit your potential score. Now, if you're an international student, that is, if you're applying from anywhere outside of the US, my recommendation is go ahead and take the test. If you are giving them a data point, so the more data points you give them, the better it is for your application. Now, if you're picking up a test or a standardized test, which is their data point of their geography, you take that test and you ace it, right? Now, you've given them an additional data point that puts you in the playing field of the national students as well. So it's a great idea to go ahead and do the SAT or the ACT if you're an international student. Also, another aspect to note is that the acceptance of the SAT score extends beyond the United States. There are many other countries like Singapore, Australia, even India that recognize the SAT scores, right? Let's look at the structure of the exam. The SAT is now a digital exam. You have the flexibility to use your own device. You can bring your own laptop with the necessary software installed. The College Board conducts the SAT on an app called the Blue Book app. So you can install this from the website and you can attempt the test on your own laptop, but you do need to go to a test center to take the exam. You can't take it from home. Now the Blue Book is a very friendly exam interface. It has a clock for time management. You can easily navigate between questions. You can access all the math formulas in one place. There's also a built-in calculator, right? It's a very friendly software, so it'll be easy to use. The digital SAT lasts for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, there's an additional 10-minute break in between. Let's break down the exam structure. There are 2 sections, English and math. In the English, there are 2 modules, module 1 and module 2. Each module has 27 questions, and you will be given 32 minutes to complete each module. So you'll be answering a total of 54 questions, and you'll get about 64 minutes to complete the section. For math also, there are 2 modules. Each module has 22 questions, and you'll have 35 minutes for each module. You will answer a total of 44 questions in about 70 minutes. The score range for each of these sections is between 200 to 800. So in English, you will be graded between 200 and 800, same for math. And you'll get a combined SAT score between 400 and 1600 points, right? Ideally, if you're aiming for a top university, you should be aiming for a score of 1500 and above. That puts you in the 99th percentile. What is being tested? In the SAT's reading and writing section, your comprehension, language use, and writing skills are being put to test. You'll come across varying academic passages or literary passages, and you'll be answering questions based on these passages for them to gauge your understanding. Now, the test segment includes craft and structure, which focuses on vocabulary and text evaluation. You have information and ideas, where you interpret texts and sometimes even graphs. You have expression of ideas, refining written expression. And then, of course, you have the standard English conventions, basic rules of grammar, usage, punctuation, and all of that, right? Now, in the math section, the content can broadly be categorized into four main areas. First is algebra, which means linear equations, inequality, system of equations, and problem-solving techniques. You have problem solving in data analysis, which covers topics like data interpretation, ratios, rates, proportion, unit rates. You have advanced math, which includes quadratic and exponential equations. Then, of course, you have geometry and trigonometry, focuses on concepts such as area, volume, lines, angles, triangles, and trigonometric functions. In the SAT math, approximately 75% of the math questions will be multiple choice. The other 25% will be student-produced response, where you have to come up with your own answer. The student has to come up with your own answer and input that, right? Another crucial point to highlight here is that the SAT math section is heavily weighted towards algebra. Almost 85% is algebra and other mathematical concepts, with only 5 to 7 geometry questions, accounting for only 10 to 15% of the total portions. The SAT is section adaptive. What do we mean by section adaptive? If you remember, I had told you that each of the sections has two modules, module 1 and module 2. Everyone gets the same level of difficulty in module 1. How well you do on module 1 determines which version of module 2 do you see, right? Let's say you do well on module 1, and I'm just taking random numbers here. College Board doesn't disclose their algorithms. Say you do well on module 1 and you score, say, 16 out of 20. You will get a version of module 2, which is harder, right? Which is more challenging, but that's good because it potentially leads you to a higher score of 680 to 800, right? On the other hand, if you score lower on module 1, you get a version of module 2, which is easier, but it also limits your score to 440 to 560. So even if you get all the questions correct on module 2, you cannot score more than 560, right? So doing well on module 1 is crucial to maximizing your overall score. So that was about the SAT. Let's talk about the PSAT. Now, here are some of the colleges that actually in India that accept your SAT scores. All right. What is the PSAT? The PSAT is a preliminary, slightly shortened version of the SAT exam. It is conducted once a year by various schools. Now, it is, even in India, it is conducted twice a year. They have it in spring and fall. So the next exam is going to be in April. And of course, there's another one that happens in October, right? If your school doesn't offer it, you can see which school in your city conducts the PSAT and you can register there as a private candidate also. The next question is, should you even be writing it? Is it even required? Now, students opt to take the PSAT for different reasons. Some will do it because certain summer school programs require them to send in their PSAT scores for admissions. Others take it to assess your current global standing. Where do you stand? How prepped are you? It also showcases the areas where you're missing and what you need to build over the next 1 or 2 years, right? Additionally, US citizens in grade 11 can take the PSAT, which is called the PSAT NMSQT, which is a qualifying test for the National Merit Scholarship. This exam itself does not give you the scholarship, but it's a qualifying test for the next 2 to 3 rounds, which gets you an additional scholarship other than whatever you're getting from your colleges, right? It's a talent hunt. They're looking for students who are ahead of the curve, who are doing well, and you can apply for that scholarship in addition. This exam happens once a year in the month of October. So you need to be in grade 11 of your October to be able to be eligible to write this exam. students outside of the US who are US citizens can also write this exam, right? Now, we had spoken about another exam called the ACT exam. So you could do either the SAT or the ACT. Let's talk a little bit about the ACT. There are a total of 5 sections in this exam. You have English, math, reading, science, and an optional essay component. Now, the English section, you have 45 minutes to answer 75 questions. This is very similar to the grammar section of the SAT, where you did basic grammar. Now, but there is a notable time difference here. You're allotted only 45 minutes to solve 75 questions, giving you approximately 36 seconds per question. On the digital SAT, you have approximately 1.19 minutes per question, right? Then in the math section, there are 60 minutes to do 60 questions, giving you roughly 1 minute per question. The SAT gives you about 1.59 minutes per question. Now, in the ACT, there is a significant reduction in time, almost 50 to 60% less time than the SAT. Also, there is a reduction in the content distribution, particularly with geometry and trigonometry. Here you have almost 27 to 28 questions out of the 60 questions, which come from geometry and trigonometry, which is almost 45% of your paper. On the SAT, if you remember, it was only about 15%, right? So the SAT is algebra heavy. ACT is equally spread out between algebra and geometry trigonometry. This also helps if you're someone who's not very comfortable with algebra, then you might want to look at the ACT, or vice versa. If you're very comfortable with algebra, you might want to look at the SAT, right? Now you have in the ACT reading section, you're given about 35 minutes to complete 40 questions, but there are 2 major differences here in this exam. Firstly, the structure of the passages differ. In the ACT reading section, you will encounter 1 long passage followed by 10 questions. You have a total of 4 passages, so you do 40 questions. In the SAT, you don't have long passages. They have shorter paragraphs to analyze within a similar time frame, but there are 27 short passages that you're reading. So that could be one of the things that you could look at. The second difference, of course, is that the SAT content is very dense. The questions tend to be more intricate, nuanced. They require deeper critical analysis and critical thinking. So in comparison, the ACT reading passages and the questions are more straightforward and simpler, right? The fourth section that you come across is the ACT science sections. Many students and parents worry about this, thinking, I'm not good at science, so maybe I shouldn't take the ACT. Or some will say that, okay, I'm looking to pursue STEM, so maybe I should take the ACT. So first of all, let's clear up this misconception. The ACT science section, you won't be tested on your knowledge of specific scientific concepts. Instead, you'll read a science-based passage. You'll have a passage from, biophysics, chem. It's very similar to reading comprehension, where you're analyzing the passage which has been provided with you. The only advantage here is you may be familiar with the content, and that is the advantage. But it's not necessary, right? You only have to give answers based on the passage that has been provided with you. You cannot use any outside information to answer that question. So it's basically reading comprehension. Then you have the ACT essay. This is an optional component scored separately on a scale of 2 to 12. You'll be given 1 prompt. You have 40 minutes to write your essay. It assesses your ability to analyze complex issues, develop a clear perspective, and support your ideas with the relevant evidence. While it's optional, it does provide colleges with insight into your writing skills and your critical thinking abilities, right? Basically, the ACT questions are more straightforward, have a direct style of questioning, but you have to solve more questions in a shorter time frame. You will have to be really quick at solving these questions. So what you need to ask yourself is, are you someone who's okay with more questions in less time? Or are you someone who doesn't mind doing complex questions, but with more time, right? Now, another thing, so I think I'll get to that a little later. So choosing between the SAT and the ACT can be a bit daunting, but there are factors that you can consider while you're making this decision. So firstly, look at your own strengths and weaknesses. SAT tends to focus more on reasoning and critical thinking skills. ACT is more content-based, has a very direct style of questioning. That's one of the things you could look at. Another one is look at the timing. SAT gives you more time per question, which can be beneficial if you need extra time to think through problems. On the other hand, ACT is fast-paced, more questions, less time. So if you're good at working quickly and efficiently, ACT might suit you. The other thing that you should look at is if you find maths difficult, it might be a better idea to take the ACT. 50% of the SAT is math, whereas in ACT it's only one of four sections, only 25%. The SAT is much shorter. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes. ACT is almost 3 hours plus, the optional essay if you plan to write that. So evaluate which format plays to your strengths. What we recommend is take a diagnostic test for both, see which one you're better at and go for that one. Finally, the test that's the better exam for you is the one that helps you get a better score. Colleges in US do not discriminate between the SAT and the ACT. Now, the other thing that I want to bring to your attention is that the ACT is changing its format. For people who are based out of the US, starting this March, you're going to see a new digital exam, which is going to get if you're planning to take the digital exam, the new digital exam is going to start from March itself. Now, they've reduced the number of questions on the exam. It's going to be 44 fewer questions, but they have also made the science section optional. You can choose to take the science exam the science section if you want to, or you can choose not to take it. If you're not planning to apply for STEM courses, you don't need to do the science section. The same is going to be rolled out for India in the month of September. But for the US students, you still have the paper-based test. So you can write the paper-based test, I think, all the way up until September. From September, it's going to be the new format of the ACT, mandatory for everyone to take the digital test only. The paper test is going to be discontinued. So if you're planning to write your ACT exam, if you're in the US, I would say, if you want the old format, go with the paper format, but finish your exam by the month of July, right? Let that be your last attempt. If you're planning to do the digital exam, it's going to be a completely new format. Even the format of the questions is changing. It's not only the format of the exam which is changing. So all previous material might end up being redundant. So they haven't yet given out the exact nature of what the changes are going to be. In India, if you're planning to take the ACT exam, they're starting the new digital version only from September. So the old one is going to be valid all the way up to July. So my recommendation is finish all your attempts till July, and then let's wait and see what the ACT has to offer by then. That's about the ACT. Let's discuss our pedagogy a little briefly. What do our SAT training programs look like? We start off with a diagnostic test to see what are your current prep levels. Following the test, we offer a free one-on-one consultation with students and parents. This is an online meeting. We discuss the scores and we will recommend to you tailored advice on the necessary preparation that is required for your SAT journey. There are many students who score above 750 in mathematics, and we tell them that you don't need to take on the maths training, and that cuts off a good 100 hours. So based on your diagnostic test, we will recommend to you what program really works for you. Then we have phase 1, where we provide online tutoring. There are multiple sessions, approximately about 40 hours of tutoring happens for English and math. Each session lasts for about 2 hours, followed by assignments. And these two we move on to, and in phase 1, we are doing topic-wise detailed revisions, right? Phase 2, we move on to practices. Student is assigned a dedicated program coordinator. So even whether you're doing batch classes or one-on-one classes, from phase 2, your program moves to one-on-one only. So what happens here is each student is assigned a program coordinator or a mentor who conducts on, and all of these take place on our digital SAT platform, where students have access to comprehensive practice material and experience the same style of questioning as the actual SAT exam. right? We have various programs, various modules which cater to different needs. We have the SAT full training programs that can be done in batch classes or individual one-on-one with faculty. If a student requires only English or only math, those programs are available too. For some accelerated students, we also have a self-paced program that provides lesson videos, self-paced exercises, mock tests. It basically gives them a comprehensive checklist to make sure that they have not missed any aspect of the test, right? We also have programs where a student can do only mock tests on our digital platform. We provide customized options to basically suit individual needs. Now, getting to the APs, what are the APs? So, AP exams, now this was the SAT, ACT, which is basic English, basic math, right? What if you wanted to showcase your expertise in a particular subject? What would you do? So, that's where the APs come in. The APs are college level tests taken in high school, focusing on a specific subject. So, if you want to showcase your expertise in, say, biology, you will take an AP biology for that subject. And this, of course, needs to be aligned with what you're planning to study ahead in college, right? The AP exams are offered once a year in the month of May. Students who are doing the Cambridge exams or IB, you will also have your final exams in May and June. So this overlap basically means that you need to plan your AP exam prep well in advance to avoid any conflict with your school exams. Currently, the College Board offers almost 30 plus subjects worldwide. And I think a decent number are offered in India as well. I think almost 28 are offered in India now. Knowing which subjects are available can help you plan your studies. Why would you need to take the AP exam? Firstly, it's a lot of work. It's a college level exam that you're taking in grade 11, right? And if you're already doing IB or A levels and you're doing those subjects in school, you don't really need to do your APs. If you're doing the Indian curriculum or you're doing a curriculum which is different from what you're studying in school, then it makes sense for you to take an AP in that subject. So let's see what are the various reasons why students want to take the APs. One of the main reasons is to stand out in your college application process, right? Academic performance is a basic expectation. Colleges assume you're already doing well. So to stand out, you need to put in more in your profile, and that's where the AP exams come in, especially if you're doing the Indian curriculum like the ICSE or the CBSE. It's a great idea to take the APs. Or like I'd mentioned, if you are doing subjects which you haven't taken up in high school. So for example, you're a science student, but you want to study, say, finance or economics going forward as your college major. At that point of time, you might want to take the AP macro or micro economics, which will help you demonstrate your proficiency in a subject which you've not studied in high school, right? So that adds on, right? It also highlights your ability to excel in various subjects, basically enhancing your overall application. Of course, earning college credits is another reason. In the US, you require almost 120 credits to finish your 4-year undergrad. Each credit can cost anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500. Now, taking APs allows you to skip some introductory courses in college, and each credit is, like I mentioned, $1,000 to $1,500, depending on if you're an academically bright student, you might want to start early. There are many students who do about 4 to 5 APs. Even if you get an average of 5 over the APs that you've done, you're getting 30 credits before you enter college for that 120 credit degree that you require. You could potentially be saving anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 in fees. Also, it makes your first semester very light. So when you're going to new geography, you're trying to settle down there, you have fewer courses, it gives you the time to settle down and do well. AP exams also open doors to scholarships and awards. Excelling in multiple APs earn you the title of an AP scholar, which strengthens your application as well. Another reason that I see many students take the AP exam is to compensate for a low grade. For example, you could be an IB student, but you've not done well in your 10th grade math exam, right? But you can take, say, an AP Calculus BC. And if you do well on that, What that showcases to the colleges that 10th grade score was really an outlier and you're actually very skilled at mathematics, right? This helps reduce the negative impact on your college application. So multiple reasons for why you might want to take the AP. Let's quickly go through the structure of the AP. AP has, there are two kinds of questions you will see. The SAT, ACT is mostly multiple choice. Here you have two sets of questions. One is multiple choice questions. And the other kind of question that you will see here is the free response question. Here you need to write down your own answer. These are subjective questions, require more detailed essay style responses. They help the colleges assess your ability to analyze, synthesize, apply knowledge in a very structured manner, requires higher order thinking skills and detailed written responses. So the AP exams are rigorous and more demanding. They don't only test your factual knowledge, but they're also testing your ability to express and support your ideas effectively, right? So these are the two kind of questions that you're likely to see. What are the scores? APs are scored on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 being the lowest, right? Aim for a 5. This shows academic excellence, can strengthen your college application. A strong 4 is also a good score, can be impressive to colleges. Many colleges will recognize a score of 3 as a passing grade, and it will earn you college credits. So, colleges like UC Berkeley will accept a score of 3, which is great. Harvard may not accept a score of less than 5. AP Scholar isn't a term for anyone who just takes the AP courses. It's an honor awarded by the College Board. To become an AP Scholar, you need to perform well on multiple AP exams. I know there is no monetary reward involved, but you will receive a certificate commemorating your honor. Basically, the AP score report. So if you are an AP scholar, if you've done 3 APs and scored more than 3 on each of the APs, you are an AP scholar. And the AP report that goes to the colleges mentions there that you're an AP scholar, right? If you've taken 4 APs and scored more than 3 on all the 4 APs and have a minimum average score of 3.25 on all the AP exams you've taken, you're called an AP scholar with honors. And if you have taken 5 APs, more than 3 on all the AP exams, and have a minimum AP score average of 3.5, then you're called an AP scholar with distinction. And this is written on each of your AP score reports that goes to the college admissions, and the college admission officers do make note of it. So if you're an academically bright student, taking these exams may add to your application. Now comes the question, how do you decide which AP is right for you, right? Which are the APs that you plan to take? So one of the ways to decide is aligning your APs with your intended major in college, right? So while we may not know the exact major that we want to study in our college, we have a general idea of the areas we're interested in for our undergraduate degree. So we might be interested, I'll know that I'm interested in pure sciences, or I'll know I'm interested in math and computer science, or I know that I'm interested in art and design. So what College Board has done is they've given you these subject categories. That is one of the things that can help you shortlist which exams should you be looking at. So say, for example, you wanted to study computer science. There is a list of APs that you could potentially be taking. AP Calculus, A, B, BC, Computer Science A, Principles, Pre-Calculus, Statistics. All of these APs will help support your computer science journey, right? Or if you're interested in doing pure science, then maybe AP Biology, Chemistry, Environmental Sciences. There are 4 APs for physics. You could be looking at any of those. So here are some of the, so this is a College Board link, and don't worry, we will be sharing these College Board links with you. At the end of this webinar, you will get an email from us that will give you all these links, so you could explore these links and look at subject categories. Now, if you were planning to write, say, AP Calculus BC, right? you can see here that it connects to about 38 majors and 107 careers. So if you're planning to take any of these majors, finance, mechanical engineering, nuclear engineering, and AP Calculus BC would be a good exam to take. Another way to understand which APs to take can be the score distribution tables. Now, what do we mean by this? College Board tracks the data of the students who have taken APs every year, right? And the score distribution is the breakup of how many students scored a 5 in various subjects. Now, for example, we just discussed that, okay, I know I want to do pure sciences. Here is a list of the pure sciences APs that I could be looking at. That's what we discussed, right, just now. Now, within those, which are the ones that I should look at? Now, if you look at AP Biology, only 16% students scored a 5. And on Physics 1, even a lower 8% scored a 5. But on the other hand, if I look at Physics, AP, Electricity and Magnetism, 27% students scored a 5. And in AP Mechanics, 23% students scored a 5. So these figures basically suggest that within that list, AP Mechanics and AP Electricity and Magnetism might be a better choice option for me because I want to score a 5, right? Same for, let's look at the score distribution tables for math and computer science. AP Calculus BC, almost 45% students scored a 5. AP Statistics, only 17%. AP Computer Science A, 24% students scored a 5. AP Computer Science Principles, only 11% students. So based on these distributions, if I had to choose 2 APs, I'd go with Calculus AP Calculus BC, which has a success rate of 45%, and AP Computer Science A, which has a 24% success rate. Same for English. It would make more sense to choose AP English Literature and Composition with a 13% success rate over AP English Language and Composition. So basically, the inference that we draw from these tables is how score distribution can also help you decide which AP exams to take. By looking at the past performance data, we can see where it is easier to score a 5 and use that as a data point for us to choose an AP. The next is the AP credit policy. If you're doing your APs for credits, right, you should look at, there is a tool from College Board that will help you decide what is the credit policy of each of the colleges and see which are the APs you want to take. So for example, let's look at Stanford. So here is a table of what Stanford will give you credits for, right? So for instance, if you look at, if a student scores a 5 on AP Calculus BC, he will get 6 credits and he will be able to skip Math 19 and 20, right? If he does AP Calculus BC and gets a score of 5, he will get 10 credits, and he will skip Math 19, 20, and 21. Right? Now, you can see, and like this, you can go and check on so I've taken, this is the College Board data. You can go to the website of the college and see also. So let's have a look at the Stanford website and what is their AP policy. So here, if you see, this is the Stanford website. And it will show you what credits you're going to get for each of these courses. So we were looking at mathematics. Here you go. AP Calculus BC. If you score a 5, you get 10 credits. Math 19, 20, 21. If you get a score of 4, you will get 6 credits. And you will skip Math 19 and 20. right? So every college has their own policy, and that's how you can look at, right? So basically, and keep in mind that you will get credits for IB and A levels as well. So have a look at that. So if you look at mathematics, IB, if you've done math AA and you've got a score of 6+, you're anyways getting 6 credits. It might not make sense for you to take calculus ABBC if you're doing IB in high school and you've taken math AA. Same for UK. If you've done mathematics, if you're doing A levels and you've got a score of A and B, you're anyways getting 6 credits, right? So this is how it can help you to see which AP you need to take. This tool will help you determine whether AP course is actually beneficial for your child. And how does it help their college journey at various universities? Keep in mind that you should choose an AP course that aligns with your intended college major and adds to your high school academic profile. So if you're planning to pursue engineering, AP macro and micro may not be ideal choices. An engineering course may not give you any credit for these courses, for APs. AP Calculus AB or BC or AP Physics might be more suitable for that. So when taking an AP, there are many factors that play a role in this decision. It's best to take the help of a college admissions counselor to help you decide if AP exams are right for your child and which specific AP exams to take. Remember, deciding to take an AP course is a significant commitment. Discuss with your child to determine whether it's the right path and which AP subject should you be choosing, right? Now, AP exams also have certain criteria, which ones you can do. So you cannot take any 2 exams on the same date and time. Decide which exam you want to take first, and you can take the next one in the next round. You cannot retake the exam the same year. Although you may retake it in a subsequent year, you cannot take both calculus AB and BC in the same year. You can take all the 4 physics exams in the same year. You can take pre-calculus in India now. You can take pre-calculus and AP calculus AB, or you can take pre-calculus and AP calculus BC. Computer science principles has there is a little more. It's a little more complex. It has a project that you need to submit. If any of you are wanting to explore that, please reach out to us directly and we'll get you in touch with the faculty who will be able to help you. Remember, as of May 2025, APs are going to go digital. They will discontinue the standard paper testing. The exams are also going to happen on Blue Book. Some of them have gone completely digital, meaning you'll have to type out your answers completely on the computer. But most of them have gone hybrid, where your questions will show up on the screen, but you will actually have to write the answers down, the free response questions on an answer sheet that they're going to give you at the center. Registration deadlines, for those of you whose kids are younger and planning to give the AP next year, the registration usually opens in September, closes around mid-November, though the exam happens in the month of May, right? So make sure you register well on time. There is a late registration window that opens out as well, which is currently open for those of you who've missed that window. There are centers which are taking registration now. It will probably close. And again, it depends from center to center. What are the dates and what are the timings for those windows? When do they open? They don't also open for all exams. So you have to be cognizant of which are the exams available. But the windows are open right now. If you miss that date, please go ahead and register now. In India, the AP registration is handled by the authorized test centers. So you do need to follow the rules of the registration and payment instructions provided by your test location, right? The centers operate independently. Each center, they'll have their own offerings, their own deadline, the fee policy. It can differ from center to center. Every year we see students who miss registration for various reasons. Something that there will be a late registration period and they'll miss the initial deadline. Others will have problems with payment processing, especially if you've paid by credit card. Sometimes, you think the payment has gone through, but it got rejected later, and then you don't have, your admission gets cancelled. So it's important to complete your registration as soon as possible with your selected test center and verify your payment confirmation to avoid any last minute problems. We have courses that happen at Reviser as well. Again, we prep you for about 10 to 15 subjects. Our programs are designed to ensure consistent progress, thorough understanding. Our batch classes start late September, early October. Right now, we're taking admissions only for the one-on-one sessions and crash courses only. Usually, you need to put aside about 6 to 7 months to prep for an AP. 30 to 40 hours of live classes. After each session, you'll complete an equivalent amount of assignments and exam-style questions. For example, a 2-hour class will be followed by about 2 to 3 hours of assignments. After completing every unit, students will take a unit test to evaluate their understanding and prep levels. In the last couple of months, students will take about 6+ full-length mock tests in a time setting. We do plan to start our crash courses and we plan to start our mock tests. So even if you are prepping on your own or with somebody else, you could just sign up with us to do mock tests. We have a mock test series coming up starting Feb end, I think, where you will do a proctored mock test with us, and then you will have a session with the faculty in a group setting where they're going to go through each and every question and say what a good answer looks like and help you understand where were the gaps, right? Classes happen now for students who are signing up now for the APs, plan to have classes at least 3 to 4 times a week to make sure the portions get completed well in time before May, right? Here are some of the subjects that we offer for APs. We have another program called the Base Builder. This is designed for students. We see in India that a lot of students they're good with the math, but like I was discussing earlier, English is a problem. So what do we ideally need to do with students is we need to start reading with them. That's the one component which I see missing, very important for your SATs. If they don't want to read a novel, an article is good enough. What we've done is if you're able to do it together as a family, it's great. You can identify an article, send them to your kids and say, at dinner table, we're going to have this conversation. Let's each one understand what our takeaways from this article was. So it's the discussion after you read the article, which is very important, which prompts a child to start thinking in a critical mode, right? So what we've done is we've designed a program where we are doing this in class. So we read an article in class with the students and we discuss after the class. And that's the most important point, where students begin to understand, this was my point of view, what was yours? They evaluate that idea and then they see whether they agree or they disagree with it, right? We've also got some basic amount of vocabulary that we do and some grammar that we do to make sure. This program is designed to help you build the skills that you require to do SAT training. It's not SAT training, but it's focused towards the SAT in the sense that it's building those skills and the critical thinking skills. So College Board is testing what you've been reading, how you've been reading for the past 5-6 years. So there is no shortcut there. Our aim is that even when you're doing your SAT specific reading, these are the skills that you need to develop while you're doing that reading. Read in this way. Don't just skim for content. Try and understand when an author says something, what is his purpose? Why is he saying it? What is his main idea? What can we infer from that information? Right? There's a lot of nuances there that you need to understand. This is a weekly program which happens once a week, and there are about 40 sessions in a year. Most of the sessions are independent by themselves, and we'll cover all these 3 focus areas. Here are some of our scores that our students have received in 2024. Highest score of 1590, average score of 1450 right now. APs, our students did very well. More than 80% of our students got either a 4 or a 5. This is what some of our students have to say about our program. Okay, I'm going to take up the questions now if any of you have any questions, if you've put up any questions. All right. How does the IB board student get credits just like APs? Okay. So when you're applying to the colleges, when you send in your applications, your transcripts will go to them. And then when you're deciding your courses, you will be applying for credits at that point of time to say that I've already done this, so I don't need to do these courses, and you will get exemption from those courses, right? And your college counselors will be able to help you with that. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask those questions. Or you can put them in the does anyone have any further questions? Which APs to take for commerce? Okay, so I'm assuming you are taking up when you say you're doing commerce, you're doing an Indian curriculum, right? So if you're doing an Indian curriculum, okay. So if you're doing an Indian curriculum, see, you may not get credits for any of the courses that you've done. So if you're doing it for credits, I would say you could take up calculus AB or BC. You could take up pre-calculus. You could take up statistics. If you're planning to do data sciences, that's a very good thing. You could take up AP macro and microeconomics. Always goes a long time. So with commerce, those are the courses that I would align. Okay, Raj has a question. Is SAT and ACT considered at equal weightage in the US or Singapore? Yes, they're within the US. They're absolutely equal. Singapore depends from college to college. There are some colleges that will look at the SAT or the ACT score at par. Do you help with college essays? No, Amita, we don't. I'm sorry, we are not into college admissions. But if you do fill out the form that is there, I can connect you to a couple of college counselors who will be able to help you. Okay, if one is taking IB Science and Maths HL, does AP Psychology make sense, or will it work against the core goal of STEM? Okay, see, even if you're doing pure STEM, there are some non-STEM courses that you need to take when you're in college. The only thing AP Psychology will help you with is show the colleges that though you've not studied it, you have the capacity to do well at various subjects. Will it get you credit? No, it will not get you credit for the courses if you're planning to study IB Science. But does it help? Yes, overall it does boost your... See, colleges in the US are looking for students who've taken up, who've gone beyond. People who take up rigorous courses, who want to do something which is beyond bookish knowledge, right? They're very high on application. Now, it depends on what sciences are you doing. Is psychology a benefit, right, in those sciences? So if you're doing biology and you're planning to do anything human-centric biology, then yes, psychology could be an advantage. But largely it will depend on, you may or may not get credits, but it overall showcases that you've taken on a rigorous course, you've done well on it, you're willing to push the boundaries, you're willing to take on difficult course load. That's what it shows to the universities. I hope I answered your question. Super. My daughter is doing IB Economics and Business and Psychology. What AP is advised for her? Would she choose any part of these subjects, as she may not get her credits based on her IB score? See, if you have taken up economics in high school and IB, you are most likely going to get the credit for that. So look at the policy of the colleges that you're applying to, right? That would be my first way, that, go and look at the colleges that you're applying to. What are the AP policies that they have in place? From what I understand, almost every college will give you credit for if you're doing those subjects in IB in high school. Now, you mentioned she wants to do economics. The APs that you can do is AP macro micro. Definitely AP psychology also helps, because economics is all about human psychology and how people view money, right? What mathematics, statistics, both will be good. See, if you look at the prerequisites for studying economics, so it's quite possible for you not to take economics in your high school, right, if you plan to pursue economics, but you definitely need to take mathematics, right? Almost all top colleges within the US or anywhere in the world want you to do mathematics. That's a prerequisite. Economics for economics is not a prerequisite, mathematics is. So these are the nuances which college counselors will be able to help you with. So definitely, if she wants to study business and eco, I think you should look at math, you should look at calculus AB or BC, depending on what is her math level. Statistics is a good idea. AP macro microeconomics will be helpful. Even AP psychology will help. That is my recommendation. Okay, sorry, I missed on her IB score. Okay, but plan to get a 4 or a 5, right? Because what you're trying to showcase is that my IB score is an outlier. I'm actually very skilled at these subjects. So, Raj, I hope I answered that question. Okay, Bharat has a question saying that can an 11th grader take APs this May for September 26th intake for computer science? Is there sufficient time? Which are those APs to target? Yes, you can take computer science A for this May. Absolutely, you can. It depends on how much time do you have in your schedule. If you have exams in the month of May, you might need to divide your work between taking the APs and your academics. And let me tell you, your academics is definitely far more important. Don't take APs at the cost of academics. That does not work. That's a bad choice. But if you are an academically driven student and you're going to be bringing in your scores and you're fond of coding and you've been doing some amount of coding, yeah, absolutely, you can do computer science A. And like I mentioned, you can see which are the APs that you need to take. Let me just see if I have them on my screen. Maths and computer science. All of these will help you. Any of these APs will help you. Right? Calculus AB, BC, computer science A, pre-calculus, statistics, all of these will be good. And yes, 11th graders do APs. I mean, if you're sending it with your applications, about 80 to 90% students will take their APs when they're in grade 11. Do you offer coaching for IB subjects also? Yes, we do. Depends on the subjects. Or a bridge course for those transitioning from Indian curriculum? Yes, actually we do. But we do that in the summer vacations. As soon as the exams finish, we don't have batches. We work one-on-one with students for these kind of bridge courses. So far, we have been doing one-on-one only. So as soon as your exams finish in the month of March, April is the best time to take a week's vacation. So our aim in the bridge courses is to complete, to get the students started on the first 2-3 topics, right? We don't go into them in detail, but we do topics and we do exam style questions for them. The big transition is the style of questioning, and that changes the way you study. When you look at the exam papers, you look at the multiple choice questions, you look at the structured questions, what are you supposed to deliver? It changes the way you study. Excuse me. We do that across 2 or 3 topics during the summer vacations. And you're expected to put in about 2 to 4 hours of work every day. Sorry, I have a really bad throat. Please fill out the form and reach out to us. We'll set up a meeting and we'll take you through the details. If those are all the questions for today, thank you so much for taking out your time and being here. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. You can fill out the form and we'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much.